usually noon.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us on this week's Tax Rep Network podcast. I'm Eric Green. I'm joined again with by Don Brolin, and I just wanted to, now that tax season is over, Don and I started comparing notes. So I'm sure everyone listening, 100% of your money was in the bank before you hit send on any of those returns. Yeah, I asked a bunch of my members, they laughed at me. I'm like, I don't want to hear that.
Mm.
That's not, what are we talking about? So, um, for everyone listening, whether you do accounting, bookkeeping, you're an attorney, you're a tax professional who does tax returns, in this day and age, there is no reason why every one of your engagement letters should be signed before you do anything. You should get paid, and you should know about that. And we have been kind of banging the drum here about ignition. And so, Dawn, I just want to see, because you told me that you had this thing fully set up and
hmm
running. How did this season go for you?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I had to find a place to put my money because I had so much of it. Everyone prepaid. I don't have any there's a couple of exceptions of local people that have been my clients forever, but they pay me before I will push send. And I
Yep.
think that there's maybe four. And so one's my post lady, my post op, my mail delivery lady, So, and that's fine. But the majority, 99% of the rest of them all prepaid. Um, they had a price increase if they didn't prepay by January 31st. So their price went up if they didn't sign. By the end of February, you can revoke engagement letters. So I pulled back engagement letters for folks who hadn't signed yet, and I don't even think about them.
Yep.
So I'm sitting here with 100% of my money has been paid. I'm, had to open up a money market, put the money in somewhere that made me money, and off we go. And because we moved to relationship pricing, then the first of every month, $40,000 gets dropped into my bank account for those 20. They're 25 individuals. Well, some of them have multiple entities, but 25 of them in total, 40,000 a month. The tax return money is just fun money in a way. Help me get faster to retirement.
Well, there are a whole bunch of things there. Number one, everyone signed and does everything before you hit send. For the folks listening, you're on the hook for malpractice, whether you're paid or not. So get paid. Um, but that is actually a really brilliant idea. The price increases January 31st, so sign before or price goes up.
hmm
That would be very motivating.
And it was definitely impressive. Last year, 2024 was the first year I did prepayment. And it went pretty well. People prepaid. Didn't really have many people balk at it. I didn't have a lot of disruption. I had one client this year who reached out and said, she's a state trooper, and she's like, "Oh, I think I'm going to do my return myself this year, or maybe I'll go to H&R Block." And I go, "That's a good idea. You should do that. So you're going to pay more than what you pay me probably." And she's like, "Really?" I go to an HR. I dare you. Go to an H&R Block and ask them.
Yeah.
And I didn't care. Like it used to be when a client would be like, "Oh, I'm thinking about, oh, I'll just lower it by $100 so you'll stay." And now I'm like, "Hey, do whatever you want to do." Like
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it because I have enough clients who see the value in what I do for me to to make a very good living.
Yeah. Well, and a good friend of mine who's an EA has a huge practice now calls this billing season because he's
Mm,
got to get all his bills out. And I was literally like, you know what? You're an idiot. Like what are you doing? But the January 31st price increase is brilliant.
yeah.
Uh,
And I found that the key to it is you got to have a system that's simple. So the reason that I use Ignition is because I get my engagement letters signed. I can monitor how many times they've opened the engagement letter. So when they call Tracy and they're like, "I never received that," she's like, "Actually, you viewed it 15 times. So yes, you have seen it." And the
yeah,
first thing you see when you click on it is Dawn's face in a video telling you how the process goes so that you know. So it's one simple system. And I get new clients during tax season. I'm sure most of you, those that are listening, also get new clients every tax season. That I don't think there's been a tax season where I haven't gotten a new client, to be honest. So when the new client calls up, we get a copy of the prior year return. I go ahead into ignition and within 30 seconds, I don't even think it takes me 30 seconds. I got an engagement letter out. That's one part of the process. I got a way for them to pay me, second part of the process. I've got a video that explains to them how they're going to work with us because I have a video for new clients is different from existing clients,
Right.
but everyone gets the same video. It's such a consistent process. So when they sign that engagement letter, I've got the engagement letter, I've gotten paid, they know the system, they know what they're going to do, they've used Smart Vault already, they've already been introduced to how they work with us at Powerful Accounting. It takes me 30 seconds to do that. And now I'm off and running. Well, Tracy, I'm still not in part of the game yet until everything's ready to go. I don't do anything until Tracy says, "All right, tax returns ready to start. Everything is in the vault for you. You're good."
Yep.
So, you know, that process alone. So if you're doing something that is disconnected, okay, I'm sending out my organizers. Okay, now I'm sending out my engagement letter. Now I'm going to collect payment. Oh, I got to explain to them, get on a phone call and explain to them how our process works.
Right.
All of those things are, if you're disconnected like that, you can fix that very, very easily. There are templates that are already ready for you, all that kind of stuff, and you're off and running. And you're not doing any work until you've been paid.
Right.
And Eric, that's a big mindset shift for at least for me. When someone pays me and their return is ready to start, that is what matters to me. Now I'm like, okay, they committed to me, they signed and they paid. They've gotten me all their stuff. Now I have an obligation to get that tax return done. And so it's motivating.
Yeah, no, I mean, and on the rep side, so I had, and I've told this story before on my YouTube channel. We, I have like 200 open matters. So stuff is flying around here. I mean, there are what, 8 of us here in the tax group, and we're working on an offer. I get it from Amanda. I think it's ready to go. Review the letter, whatever. And then I get a message, a text from Amanda that said, "Don't send it to the client. They didn't pay." What do you mean they didn't pay? I go in, there's no payment. I email our controller, Daryl, who's, he's only in 2 days a week. Sends back, he said, "I don't see any payment from them. Not in QuickBooks, not in Clio." And I went and just checked the bank roughly about the time the letter was signed. I can't see anything. So I emailed the client saying, "We want to wrap up this offer, but it appears you didn't pay the retainer. If you did, send me a copy because, if we screwed up, they email me back, well, we'll pay, but if only if it's accepted." Well, that's not the way we work. And I emailed back saying, "That's not the way we work. We need that paid." Well, I'm only going to pay if it's accepted. And like you, because we collect, because we're busy, we've automated everything we can automate, so we're more profitable than ever. My patience for that kind of nonsense is really, really thin. And so my shirt might say commit tax fraud, but yeah, no, we're not doing that. And so but listen, if I submit that, I'm still malpractice wise, I'm on the hook. The fact that I can say, "Well, I never got paid," that's not my insurance carrier's problem. It's not going to be their problem. It's not the IRS could care less. So I messaged back saying, "I'm going to throw this in the shredder. I wish you the best of luck with your next representative. I recommend you pay them because we're going to pull our power of attorney." They paid, right? And by the way, the offer was accepted at appeals because there was some nonsense that we did, and they increased the offer from like 12.5 to like 13.2 or something, whatever. But the bottom line is, um, that was one of the things when you told me, like, "Well, don't you get alerted when they pay?" Well, no, I don't. With Ignition, I do.
Exactly.
I'm
Yep.
told again, when they open the letter, they sign the letter, they've paid. And so now Maggie and Nicole know. Until that happens, they don't tell Amanda get going. They don't tell me any, nope. And I get a list. In fact, I was just talking to it was Felicia, actually. We were talking about disengagement
Mm,
and how I deal with that. And I told her, like with the rep stuff, we send everything, they'll pay, they'll sign the letter, and then they don't upload anything into SmartVault. And so Nicole will email them, said, look, it's been a week. It's been 2 weeks. By the third week, she'll email me on Friday. Here are the 5 people that have not responded now in several weeks. Now I email them saying, look, you haven't given us anything. There's nothing we can do. You're clearly not ready to go forward. We're going to close the file, pull power of attorney, and I'm just going to return the balance of the retainer later on. Whenever you're ready, you can come back. And usually I'll get a no, 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 no. I'm gonna, and it's Friday. I'll say I need the stuff by next Wednesday. If it's not here by next Wednesday, I got to get out of this case. And I'll tell them the IRS might threaten the levy. There's an appeal, and there's nothing I can even tell them. You
Right.
haven't given me anything. So what Felicia and I were talking about is, well, what about, so I've been urging everyone, make sure you increase your prices. You should not be cheaper. Honestly, you should not be cheaper than H&R Block. You should be
Yeah.
more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now it's different because you've got subscription pricing. And guys, I know that Dawn is going to be rolling out, we're going to be doing a whole management roundtable for folks, for lack of a better term, on implementing this automation and really getting your practice to the next level. So that really the truth is you're really getting paid monthly. The return is an afterthought. So if
Mm-hmm.
someone just looking return to return, yeah, H&R Block probably is more expensive, but that's because you've already done all the work all the way
Exactly.
along.
Mm-hmm.
But so Felicia was telling me, like, you know, your practice is going great. How do I disengage from these 1040 people? And I keep, it doesn't have to be nasty. And so we were drafting a letter. Basically, here's what I tell them: say, look, we're very, very busy. We basically focus on business clients. At this point, we really going forward we can't really handle your account. And so here's a list of other practitioners in the area. You should have copies of everything. They're in SmartVault. If you need anything, just shoot us an email, let us know. We'll make sure you have it. But wish you the best of luck going forward. That's it. Just
Simple.
thank you. And listen, and she said there are clients that will call up. No, 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 don't fire me. And she'll say, look, we're moving to price. There are people that are willing to pay because they want to stay. Did
Yeah.
you find that? There are clients that just, no, 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 I want to stay with you.
Yeah. They really, it's hard to switch accountants. And I have to say, people, in my experience, those clients who are going to a tax practitioner, I have an example, going to a tax practitioner once a year, they're a business. This one happens to be a restaurant. So a
Right?
restaurant, and they own a rental property for a brewery. So this particular client, because I want to give an example of exactly what you're talking about. Paid this firm $800 to do a partnership return. $800. And I'm like,
Which means they're not looking at anything. They're taking their numbers and shoving it in the return.
they're not looking at anything. And I would say, including the books, because you should have seen the books. They had the rental property bank accounts as a liability on the balance sheet, just using it as like a check register, but it was on the balance sheet as a liability account. I mean, train wreck to the point where they recorded on the rental property $123,000 of rental income from the restaurant, no rent expense on the restaurant. They missed a $123,000 deduction. They paid $18,000 in taxes because they showed a profit of 100 grand. I'm like, this restaurant, no, I know the restaurant. There's no way these people are making $100,000 at a restaurant. How many restaurants are making 100 grand? Okay. They're not.
It sounds like a Department of Revenue auditor went in there and used their standards to come up. I love that.
I
Uh,
mean, so Eric, so what happened was I come rolling in. It's an existing individual client who's a partner who's like, why am I getting my K1 in August? And I said to him, I said, dude, we are doing relationship pricing. You want to bring that restaurant, bring that rental property over here? We'll take care of it. We will handle it all, and you will have your return done on time. We take a look at the books. I go, your return will not be on time this year because nobody did anything in your books for last year. The sales were all recorded incorrectly. The payroll was being handled by journal entry. And they were doing them all wrong. It was a wreck. So I said, but here's what it's going to take. It's going to be $1,500 a month. And I just stopped. And they're like, Oh, I go, yeah, remember, see, because you were paying $800 a year. Do you know what you were getting for that? Well, you paid an extra $18,000 in taxes. So I think the 18 grand, if you give it to me, I can save you on taxes. Like they're missing things. It's our train wreck. And so they were like, we're in
Yeah.
eight 800 to $18,000. Why? Because I'm going to give them value they've never received before. We give them top, high quality. Anybody at 1,500 and up, we have a good hand. We have I think a dozen of them that are $1,500 and up. 1,500, 2,500, 4,500 a month. I know there's some people with 10,000 a month. We have another one with 8,000 a month. So that's how we got to the 40,000. But and that's the deal. Like you can't just come here for your business tax return. We won't take those clients on. So when they call up and they're like, "Oh, well, we want you to do our return. Here are our books," and we look at them and they're garbage, they're either on relationship pricing or I've got a lot of great bookkeepers out there who are referring their clients to us because we'll do their reasonable comp analysis, we'll meet with them on a quarterly basis, we do their tax return, we do their personal return, and we'll do that for 750 a month. So 9 grand for us to do their tax return, reasonable comp analysis, um, do their tax return, like talk with them through the year on purchasing assets or whatever it may be. We're there to consult with them and work with them and advise them. And for people are like, okay, 750 a month, I'll do it. And they're basically I'm doing the same thing I should be doing anyway, when usually I just take a one-time payment once a year. And as a matter of fact, I had a client who said, listen, he's seasonal. So he works around like kind of like the college season because he has a calzone restaurant, sells custom whatever calzone. I say custom calzones. I don't even know if that's a thing. But anyway, so he emailed me the other day and he's like, "Hey Dawn, do you think I could pay you the same way I pay my landlord for rent? So I pay in the months that I have the students here. So I don't pay in July and August.
Right. But
I
I
don't
think
pay
all
the
my cash is high because otherwise I'm getting hit at the worst time.
And I'm like, absolutely, let's do that. And so I'm like, okay, take your 18 grand, divide it by, you've already paid me this year. Okay, yep, it's gonna be 2,400 on those months instead of 1,500. No problem. I went into Ignition. There's a billing schedule.
Yep.
Just went into Ignition and changed the amounts for those months. It'll charge a zero invoice. So it'll send it over. So there's flexibility there for me. A client needs to make a change, no problem. Listen, you're a great client. He's got two restaurants, 1,500 for one restaurant and 1,000 for the other restaurant. And like that's 2,500 bucks a month. You know what, Corey? No problem, buddy.
Yep.
We'll change it and we'll make it work.
Yeah, no, I got to tell you, the getting your money up front, knowing your letters of side. Um, and what I like about Ignition on the rep side, by the way, is it follows up. So, I made a comment on one of my YouTube videos that I think it was 170,000 I made on Ignition. I got a whole slew of comments. How? I mean, Ignition, you're billing. How did you make? Someone was saying, "Well, you selling it to other people?" No, 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 no. By the way, neither of us get paid if you buy Ignition or not.
Yeah, we're just trying to help you.
Yeah, I don't have some affiliate relationship with them. Um, what I so here's the way it breaks down. People would call, Nicole would take notes. All right. We would then send an engagement letter, or I would do the consult, send the engagement letter, and I have the notes in the file.
Yep.
At the end of every year, we have, prospective clients in that folder. So we would pull out the yellow legal sheets, 22 to 25, just because, like everybody, the letter goes off, out of sight, out of mind. I got other meetings, I forget about it. Um, Once we implemented Ignition last year, 3. That means I closed somewhere between 19 and 22 other cases. The average fees across all my cases is around $8,500. I got some big payroll or a tax court thing that's, 15, 20, 25,000 all in. And then we got the 1,500 transcription, whatever. The transcripts, analysis for people. So it's 8,500 on average. Well, 8,500 times 20, it's $170,000.
Hmm.
And so I think I told that to Kate at Ignition. I'm like, And she said, "Can I quote you on that?" I said, "Well, let me just put a little explanative, just in other words, like, yeah, I say made 170,000 with Ignition. I said, because of the automated follow-up and letting me know when things are done, we closed 20 more cases at an average of 8,500. I put an extra 170,000 on top of my practice. I added to my
Mhm.
revenue that
Right.
I did not have the years before.
Correct.
And no, it will change your practice. It is so simple to just set up and just get it going. And then your 1040s, right? You make sure you do your price increase. December, I'd start looking at everyone from the year before. And what I'll get done, and I'd like your take, but I think you told me this. Actually, now that I think about it, somebody had said, "Well, Eric, they'll come in, they might have an extra Schedule C." I said, it doesn't matter. I'm going to take last year. Let's say we're going up 5% across the board or whatever it is. Here's the price increase. If they upload their stuff and I realize, oh, wait, we got another Schedule C, you can message them, right? I mean, you can add stuff on the fly. But I told them, even if you never didn't collect that money, I could live with that. But
Right.
you got 95% of your money up front. And with that January 31st idea, I remember you told me in January you were flush. We didn't really get into the details of it. Um, but knowing what a feeling it is to get into February, March and have the bank full versus I remember this 20 years ago being at a firm where they'd be like, we got to get this stuff done because we can't bill it until it's done. I don't know why.
Mhm.
And no, you get your money up front, you make sure everything is done. It works with QuickBooks.
It works
Uh,
beautifully with QuickBooks. It's beautiful.
yeah,
The integration's amazing.
it's simple to use. I love the video, which for people who don't understand what we're talking about. So I built out in Ignition, we have our tax rep templates. So, and you can use them. I gave Ignition permission to share them. So what happens is, let's say you get an offer and compromise candidate. I used to do the double consult. What I mean by that, and I don't mean to be sexist, let's say it's a married couple. The husband comes in. So I sit and walk through, because I told my wife, I really wish they'd bring the brighter half of the pair, but whatever. The husband comes in and I explain everything. Mr. Green, this makes perfect sense. Now, a couple of days later, I get an email. Could you get on a call or meet with my wife? Because I can't really explain now what you. And so now I'm doing the double consult. What I have now is I have a letter. So I told my tax rep members, let's say I send out our $5,000 retainer for an offer and compromise to Mr. Jones, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. With it goes my letter saying, we're going to discuss, we're going to do the review for an offer, and it walks you through the basics of an offer and why the analysis is important. And then one time you sent me and you had a video, and I'm like, how do you do that? And so you can record the video. And so I can say, Mr. Jones, it was great meeting with you. Please share this with Mrs. Jones. As we discussed, I think you're a clear offer candidate. Here's why. These are the steps we need to take. Please, I will send you a link. I need the letter and obviously paid. Please upload the stuff as soon as possible. Once it's uploaded, we can work on this and I can get you a definitive answer. If you're an offer candidate, why? And then how much what would the offer would be? And if you're not an offer candidate, but I have some ideas where you could be. For instance, get disability insurance. Maybe get a new car, a lease payment up to $620 or something is allowable. Are there some legitimate strategies we can implement?
Mm,
Since doing that, no more double consults.
right.
And what I like about it, and I didn't think about this. So first of all, to me, I can just explain it and it's to them and whatever. But you know what? Some folks have mentioned that it was nice to actually see and hear you, Mr. Green. Eric,
Yep.
and I didn't think about that, but there's a comfort level when the spouse can watch the video and be like, now I know why you like him. This makes sense,
Hmm.
whatever. It really is just it to me, it pulls out together the best of all the technology,
Right.
right? I have the video, I've got built-in, standardized automated templates. It feeds right into QuickBooks, so there's no double entry. I get alerted and it will do the follow-up. with folks, I think up to 4 times.
Hmm.
Follow up, hey, you still have a letter to sign, hey, you still need to pay, and all that. When we were at Scaling New Heights last year, Nicole messaged me saying, do you want me to start working on this? They signed and paid. And I was like, what is it? She said, you met with them 2 months ago. They just signed the letter and paid. I got the alert. I'm like, by all means, make sure they upload the documents and let's get earning that money. So,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, I had forgotten about them. Ignition didn't.
No, Ignition didn't forget.
No,
Ignition doesn't
that it
forget.
doesn't. Uh,
Especially sole practitioners who don't have a Nicole. They don't have, for me, a Tracy. They don't have that admin person overseeing things. That, like, how are you not automating everything you possibly can? If you are a sole practitioner, like, this is a no-brainer. You're going to eliminate 4 steps of things that you normally would have to do. The other thing, Eric, too, that what I do love is they also have a follow-up after they sign. There's like a next steps email that can go out.
right,
And in there you can put, let's say you use SmartVault, you want to upload to SmartVault. You can put their specific link in that email and it will follow up for you. Like there's so many more things. My clients get a big kick because of course I'm going to be animated in my video. Like I'm going to be me.
yep,
I'm like this. I'm a crazy person with you. I'm a crazy person with my clients, my staff, my family, and my friends. Nobody's exempt from my crazy. Nobody.
right.
So the clients will come in, they're like, oh my goodness, I love that comment about this and that, whatever. And I had one client that came in, he's like, I think I'd increased my price and making people prepay. That was the first year in 24. And this is a couple that comes in and sits. And and I love when they come in because they're just funny people. They're just funny. So they came in and they were like, wow, Brolin, your prices went up. You're making us prepay. What the heck's going on? I said, yeah. And you know what else? I'm going to charge you if you take one of these paper clips, you're paying for it. And so we like through the whole meeting,
Yep.
which I mean, their return I could probably do in 20 minutes, but I like them and they're fun. And so, yeah, so I'm like, no, I charge for everything. I said, if I have to open up the envelopes, I'm going to be really upset. And if I have to remove staples, all of that's an extra charge. Like, can't you come prepared? And we just joke about it. It's funny.
Well, it's how we get people to scan their stuff. Ignition goes out, I send the Smart Vault link, and people will like, I'd rather drop it off. I'd rather just mail it to you. And I tell them if you're set, unless if you send us scan documents, I mean copies, you're going to pay. It'll be $150. Maggie's gonna have to stand there and scan. We're not Kinkos.
Yeah.
If you send me originals, now I got to start removing staples. By the way, the utility bill is an 8.5 by 11, so I can't just feed them all through. You send me copies of bank statements sideways. Remember, we had that client, can't read them.
Yes.
She was committing fraud.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, whatever. But the point being, um, you know, this is not. So when we tell people it's $300, my staff will do it, but you're really sure you can't do this yourself and upload it? That's usually enough. I have one client. We're sort of she's very wealthy. She every other year she ends up with some like she's like, I owe 800,000. I'll pay it, but I just need 5 or 6 months or whatever. Okay, no problem. We can buy you time. She's the only one who says, I'm going to come and I'm going to bring my documents because she wants to sit with me. She's like, I don't care. You can charge me. Now, if you're wealthy and you don't care, and honestly, we don't charge her, but anyway, but no, but hey, you're going to pay for this.
It's a deterrent.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, you know what it is? We are creating behaviors. We are training them so if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, my clients would never do that. You have trained them that way. You have allowed that. When you
Hmm.
start telling them there's going to be a charge for this, watch how quickly they want to avoid that charge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I mean, like Nick Basha, my buddy, he charges $50 for drop off. If you're a drop off, it's $50 extra because my team isn't going to handle the scanning for free for you. I mean, it's $50, but again, it's a deterrent, and some people, they don't care. They're going to pay the $50 or whatever. Um, I don't do a drop off fee honestly myself because I do charge the crap out of people. Like I hammer them, and it's only I think I have a dozen maybe a dozen clients that drop off. Some people that just live near me, they come swing by,
no,
whatever.
I mean the and same thing. Like the woman, she comes in, she pays us a lot of money.
Yeah.
And again, and I like her. Look, I will tell everyone, um, he has a big podcast, Michael Francis. He's the former Colombo capo. He's got a bunch of books. He's a fascinating guy to listen to. But he was interviewed once about getting along like in prison, and his dad, Sonny Francis, did 50 years. I mean, was the underboss of the Colombo family. Told him, he said, my dad told me, said, you know how you get along? Please, thank you, excuse me, I'm sorry. I can tell you right now, for my clients, if you're a nice person to me, you're going to get a lot more out of me than if you're not.
Mm-hmm.
You can sit and you can threaten. My fees are only going up because now you know what it is? It's a pain in the ass fee. Whereas,
Mm-hmm.
like, I have a great client. There, we went through the retainer. We're now done. It's like 220. So they gave us 5,000. It's like $222. I just wrote it off. They didn't have an ask. I just wrote it off. Forget it. We're good. If you're a pain in the butt, that might become 5,700 because I'm going back and forth with you and I'm billing it and I want it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the whole honey versus vinegar thing is absolutely true. But
Mm-hmm.
no, I just wanted to, catch up with you and do this video because um, what I'm hearing from the folks, we've been pushing people, automate everything you can, put ignition in place. I'm getting great feedback from the folks that have it. The two that I didn't both admitted to me they never really implemented it. They never set it up. I'm like, well, that's dumb. That's
There's
like
no
buying
wand.
coal.
There's no wand. You gotta take some time in the beginning to once it's set up,
Right,
you're done. But you're gonna spend a couple 3 hours setting it up.
right.
Like it doesn't take more than that.
But think about this. Once it's done, you got it for life. Tax
Exactly.
season, after tax season, consulting, it's in place and it's done. And look at all the hours you're going to save. My friend who's now going to start billing 2,000 clients
No way.
who wants to spend a week doing that and then hoping you get paid, right? And
Yep.
chasing people. No, no. So the takeaway, they're running a deal right now. I'm gonna put a link below. And if you, I know it's after tax season. Now is the time to do this. Do this now, this spring. So one, you can use it for any extensions. The people are going to come running in October because they waited, all of that. And now your year end is all in place.
Mm-hmm.
So, because everyone's like, yeah, I'll do it. And then it's December, it's the holidays, it's vacation, the kids, whatever. And it doesn't happen. Now, January comes, I have no time to figure this out now. And another
And then
tax
all
season
the cycle goes again.
goes
And
again.
your insanity, you're gonna go through it again, and you're not gonna have money in your bank account, and you're not gonna, you have no systems, and now you gotta do the accounting. And I used to have Tracy, she'd have to reconcile this, did everybody pay us?
Yeah.
And she would spend 20 hours going through everything and making sure. And then she would say, "Oh, Brolin, you didn't bill $8,000. Here are all the clients and how much you need to bill them." And I'm like, "Oh, God." Now I look like an idiot because it's August, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I didn't really do my own accounting, but I'm an accountant. I'm your accountant. How
Yeah.
great do I look?" It doesn't. It's not a good look.
Yeah. You're not giving me the warm and fuzzies.
No. So people come. It's just I don't know, Eric, but I what I do know is that I ended up because of the way I put my systems in place. I had 20, I think 26 extensions. I did 5 of them yesterday. I was actually just waiting for my tax partner to review them.
Yep.
And so I've got, other people I'm just kind of waiting on that I don't mind. Like they're people that I've been working with for a long time, but I'm not doing taxes all season. Keith and I actually met yesterday to finish up those 5. And I said to him, I said, dude, by end of May, we're done. Like we're not doing, because what we want to do, guess what we're going to do the rest of the year?
Golf.
We're going to golf and we're going to go on boats, but we're going to do resolution work. We're going to pick up some cases and we're going to do some resolution work and make more money because
Yep.
we have time to do it. We're not doing tax returns through the whole year. It's not happening.
Right. No. And you know, for the folks listening, I mentioned scaling new heights. Dawn and I are both going to be there. It's in June. Um, when I when I went used to go to conferences, especially accounting conferences, I'd go back to my room and bill because I'm a lawyer and that's what lawyers do. And Dawn said, "You got to come to the exhibit hall." I'm like, "Why?" And they're accountants. It was mind blowing. All the stuff that they have for everything, tracking your mileage, inventory. I mean, you can name it. And it is a game changer. And I'm not surprised because, like Joe Woodard, you've been very much on in front of this, on the edge, as this has been building. No one likes change.
Yeah.
I trust me, I get it. Putting ignition in here, we had a whole big back and forth with the other partners. Oh, well, we already, we do it this way. That way works. And no, 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 no. And once you just decide to do it, just make the decision. Um, it will change your practice,
Yeah.
literally.
Hmm. Yep,
So,
absolutely. Hey, listen, you know what? And I say this a lot. I mean, we've given 7 million webinars. We've done 7 million podcasts. We've done 7 million of everything. I don't understand why I'm still seeing practitioners struggle with this. I don't understand it. Although I have to say and give grace because it's only been 2.5 years since I implemented it. And through the years, I because I was not pre-billing, my pricing wasn't spot on. I was billing by the hour. I was doing all of that stuff. I didn't have time to do anything else. I was exhausted. I'm like, I've been doing this for 20, at that point, 22 years. And it's like, but I got to the point where exactly what you're saying is I got to a point where I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't go through the pain and suffering of not having money and billing by the hour and hoping my clients paid me and let them be in control of the relationship. And I just, and I, you have to, I guess you have to get to a point of no return. And if you're at that point of no return, and I know there's still hundreds of thousands of people that are in the position I was in 2.5 years ago, and they're still there, and I want to push them out of that nest, get out of the comfort, get out of a comfort zone and do something different. It will change your life. And, like right now, I'm going to get ready to go golfing, right? I'm going to hit 18 holes and, you know,
and by the way, just for the record, I called Dawn on April 14th. I texted Dawn saying, "Do you have time?" It's April 14th because I have this question. She's like, "I'm on the golf course. I'll call you back in a half hour." On April 14th. On April 15th, she couldn't respond in time because she was on a boat. So if
yep,
that gives you an idea of getting your practice under control, how many accountants I know were working till 11 o'clock on April 15th?
still working on extensions,
No, no,
all
no,
that.
no, no,
Nope.
no. So, Dawn, listen, thank you very much for coming in and updating us. I just think it is eye-opening, the change in practice from a number of years ago when you and I would sit and whine about this to where it is now. For everyone listening, if you're not familiar with Ignition, I'm going to put a link below. They have a deal going. Now is I would everyone's like, well, May and June tax season's over. Now is the time when you have the time when you're not doing your billing.
Hmm.
Implement this so you never do your billing again. You will gain all these hours back tenfold over the
Hmm.
next couple of years, and you will collect more money, have your money in the bank, make sure your letters are signed. It's a game changer.
Absolutely. Yep. Thanks for having me, Eric. Always love to hang out with you anytime.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, everyone. I'll speak to you next week on the podcast.